lips. For our final entry, let's turn our attention to the wonderful world of plants and take a look at the Psychotria elata, otherwise known as hot lips, the flower of a tropical tree found deep in rainforests of Central and Southern America. Over the past few years, this plant has become internet famous because of its flowers that resemble the distinctive shape of lipsticked lips, which occurs just before the flower itself fully matures. While it appears to have been taken straight from the mouths of Angelina Jolie or Mick Jagger, believe it or not, but this plant is entirely natural, and ever since its discovery in the dense forests of South America, it's become known as one of the most outlandish species of plant known to botany. If that's not enough, this genus of plant is even known to produce psychedelic chemicals like DMT, which will certainly be responsible for producing a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Great Wall of China. Giant walls. We're hearing a lot about them lately, but none are as impressive or likely ever will be as impressive as the Great Wall of China. And it's not even a new wall. The 4,000-mile-long wall spans from Shanhai, Guan in the east of China to Lop Nur in the west. The stone and earthen fortifications were built, then rebuilt, then maintained between the 5th century BC and the 16th century. They aimed to protect the Chinese Empire's borders during the successive dynasties' rule. The most famous of the walls built during this time was by the first emperor of China, Qin Shi Huang, which was built between 220 BC and 200 BC. There isn't much left of it today, but it was built during the Ming Dynasty. The wall forms an arc on the southern edges of Inner Mongolia and spans over 4,160 miles. China doesn't mean to brag, but they are proud of the fact that their Great Wall is the largest human-made structure regarding its surface area and mass. Fortunately, this is something you can go and see in person to experience for yourself.
Aye aye. Unless you're the kind of person that hangs around the rainforests of Madagascar, you probably have absolutely no idea what the aye is.
This is the aye, a lemur.
Well, it's nothing to do with pirates or SpongeBob SquarePants. Sadly, the aye is one of the weirdest looking primates you'll ever see, a native animal to the rainforests of Madagascar. But even if you were loitering in that wilderness, chances are you still wouldn't see it, as it tends to live some 700 plus meters up in the air. In fact, you should probably be grateful, as this animal is considered to be a pretty bad omen. And not just because it looks so frightening. The locals of Madagascar believe that the aye is capable of predicting death. So to see this thing is a little like looking into the face of death. That's also why many locals hunt the creature. Pure fear. It's highly unlikely that any of you will ever encounter this unusual animal in the wild, but on the off chance that you do somehow make it 700 plus meters up in the air, well, RIP you.
There are tons of things in life we might never get the chance to get a good look at up close, like a snake shedding its skin. It might seem gross at first, but when you see it like this, it seems oddly satisfying, especially if you were one of those kids who used to peel glue off your palms at school. The process is called ecdysis, and it happens more times than you'd think. Most snakes will shed their skin between 2 to 4 times a year, which helps them to grow and can remove potentially dangerous parasites that may have attached themselves to their old skin. Unlike a human skin, a snake skin doesn't grow as the animal grows. That means that eventually, a snake's skin reaches a point where further growth simply isn't possible. When that happens, a new layer of skin grows underneath the current one, and when it's complete, the old skin peels away. When they're ready to shed their skin, the snake creates a small rip in the mouth or nose area by rubbing against a rock or log. Then they just shimmy on out. The ocean is one of the most unexplored parts of the world, so it's no surprise we still don't know about every creature that lurks beneath the waves. In July 2020, an image of possibly the most beautiful squid you've ever laid eyes on circulated online. The 8-limbed creature looks as if it's been totally decked out in Swarovski crystals, so it's no wonder it left people saying, Are you squidding me? Believe it or not, this squid is no work of fiction. The mesmerizing creature has been dubbed Histiotuthis heteropsis, or the strawberry squid, and was recorded by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution. It was first discovered during part of the deep sea research cruise through the ocean twilight zone, a layer of water located at a staggering depth between 650 to 3,300 feet. Its jeweled look is the result of glowing bioluminescent spots known as photophores that emit light, possibly to counter the darkness of the abyss. These bedazzled cephalopods also have a highly specialized left eye that grows up to 2 times the size of the right eye as the squid matures, earning it a second nickname, the cockeyed squid. While the bigger eye looks upward into dimmer, shallower waters, the smaller one points down in search of bioluminescent flashes that could indicate prey or predators. Cars are built to sustain some impressive brute force, but what if I told you could crush one using water? You're probably racking your brains over how that could even be possible, but just wait and see for yourself. This jaw-dropping footage was captured as part of a fire safety video by aerial firefighting organization CAL FIRE in Colorado 2019. Because droughts can be frequent in a state like Colorado, field tests like these are important for educational and safety purposes. That sea of red liquid you see falling from the sky is 9,000 pounds of fire retardant being dropped from a low-flying aircraft onto an SUV below. The sheer destruction is enough to leave you open-mouthed as the car is crushed in a split second. You'd never imagine quite how much weight is being delivered aerially over you in a genuine wildfire. Now, just imagine being at the scene of a particularly large wildfire where even bigger planes can drop up to 170,000 pounds of retardant in a path up to a mile long and over 100 feet wide. Thankfully, these kinds of drops are not usually as low as the one in this video, but sometimes unexpected and changing conditions or terrain can cause them to be lower than intended. All I know is that you wouldn't want to be standing in the wrong place at the wrong time. Owls are majestic creatures, but they have a whole host of secrets hidden up their sleeves. Besides the fact that they have long legs hidden underneath all those feathers, check out just how fluffy these mysterious birds really are. So that's where the age-old saying, "put a cork in it," came from, huh? No, but seriously, how did they manage to make a cork disappear inside that poor snowy owl? Well, prepare your eyes, because this is how skinny an owl really is under all those feathers. That's right, the animal under there looks more like a tiny little Martian than the big plump owls we know and love. To get a better idea of the true feather-to-owl ratio, check out this depiction showing how much of a barn owl is really a barn owl. You wouldn't get much meat out of one of these guys. If you happen to live somewhere that gets frequent cold spells, you've probably ceased to be amazed by things like icicles and thick blankets of snow. But have you ever tried to freeze a soap bubble? It doesn't sound that fun, but after seeing how beautiful it can be, you're gonna want to try this for yourself. Soap bubbles form when a layer of water molecules gets trapped between 2 layers of soap molecules. When it's cold outside, the water layer freezes before the soap bubble pops, turning the whole thing into a stunning crystal ball. The bubble starts to freeze normally from the ground up, where it touches the ice. But at the same time, the bubble's surface becomes littered with hundreds of freeze fronts. When the bubble freezes, the parts that are still liquid start moving, tossing around tiny ice crystals in the process, which creates the mesmerizing snow globe effect. As each crystal leads to local solidification and the sections join together, the bubble freezes at an extra speedy rate. Who knew science could be so beautiful? Chimps may be considered the closest living relative to us humans, but they're still wildly different in appearance. They're covered in a thick layer of hair first and foremost. Or are they? There's no need to be alarmed, people. This hairless chimp isn't some monstrous mutant creation. Considering chimps share between 95 to 98% of DNA with humans, it's really no surprise that they can suffer from alopecia, just like us. Without their fur coat, you can see just how strong these animals really are. With all those rippling muscles, this is one dude you wouldn't want to challenge to a push-up contest. Then again, they do have a certain advantage. In chimps, the muscle fibers closest to the bones, which are deemed to be the source of strength, are much longer and more dense than in humans. In fact, biologists say these animals are at least 4 times stronger than their two-legged counterparts. That explains why these hairless monkeys look so darn terrifying then. Of all the things you expect to see while going about your daily business, a trumpet-wielding bear riding shotgun in a motorcycle sidecar is definitely not one of them. This mind-boggling moment was captured on film by Russian man Nicholas Pazenkov, who was driving in Skikhtvar in the Komi Republic on August 25, 2017, when a 250-pound brown bear pulled up alongside him on a public road. And it wasn't just any old bear. His name is Tim. You probably haven't heard of him unless you happen to live locally, but Tim has become something of a minor celebrity after his various trumpet-playing appearances in traffic. That's right, this was no one-off occurrence. Apparently, Tim the bear is a specially trained animal who performs in a traveling circus which is run by a motorcycle club named the Polar Wolves Bike Club. Only in Russia, right? At one point, the bear even starts clapping his hands to show that he's enjoying the ride. Or maybe he's just fed up with being stuck in traffic. The human body is capable of some pretty mean feats, especially when you're a trained gymnast or athlete. For most people, successfully landing a single backflip is a total pipe dream. But this guy laughs in the face of naysayers. Anyone else suddenly feel dizzy after watching that? Whoa. The backflip king in this seriously impressive video is 18-year-old Oleg Chernyashenko, who performed the dizzying stunt at Cape Kiwanda Beach in Oregon. The gymnast was filmed by his brother, who ran down the hill while filming. Now that's some serious multitasking. According to Oleg, he wanted to go as fast as humanly possible before crashing. It's lucky he did stop, or he might have picked up so much momentum that he took off completely. Apples, Crocs, toilet roll, even raw chicken. What's next? These incredible cake creations are all made by 41-year-old Turkish cake artist Tuba Gekel, also known as Red Rose Cake. From grocery store staples to household objects, there's nothing this food fanatic can't recreate as a sickeningly sweet illusion cake. Gekel's hyper-realistic creations are the latest to go big in the everything is cake trend that has been sweeping social media throughout the pandemic. Besides illusion cakes, Gekel also has a knack for recreating a whole host of famous figures in cake form. In times like these, it wouldn't surprise me if the things around us turned out to be cake all along. And after falling into an everything is cake hole, you'll be pinching yourself just to make sure you're not one too.
Machine-printed brick roads. While it may seem a little mundane on the surface, the world of construction is filled to the brim with some mind-bogglingly efficient technologies. And in recent decades, the sheer efficiency of new equipment is enough to make your jaw drop on the floor. Ever seen a machine print a brand new brick road? Well, take a look at this thing, the Tiger Stone bricklaying machine that can lay down over 3,000 square feet of block paving in a single day with pretty much minimal effort. While the process of bricklaying is time-consuming and harsh on the workers' backs and knees, this innovative machine does away with all the aches and pains of traditional groundwork, instead laying down a brand new brick road as easy as rolling out pizza dough. Awesome.
First orbital launch with GSLV Mark III. The world always gets excited when something happens for the first time, and the first orbital launch with the Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle Mark III was one such time. The GSLV Mark III is a medium-lift launch vehicle that the Indian Space Research Organization developed. The whole idea behind it was to launch communication satellites into geostationary orbit, but that wasn't all it could do. This vehicle was that impressive that it was also a launch vehicle for crewed missions in the Indian human spaceflight program, as well as science missions like Chandrayaan-2. A suborbital test flight occurred on December 18, 2014, followed by several lengthy delays. Then, finally, on June 5th in 2017, the Indian Space Research Organization finally conducted its first successful orbital test launch from the Satish Dhawan Space Center in Andhra Pradesh.
3, 2, 1, 0.
Given its success, the Union Cabinet then approved $610 million in funding to build 10 GSLV Mark III rockets in 5 years. It was then decided that the GSLV Mark III would launch CARE, which was India's Space Capsule Recovery Experiment Module. Space exploration is looking very exciting for the future.
Space elevator. It sounds like the plot to a bad Gerard Butler movie, but what if there was a giant elevator between Earth and the moon? Well, that could possibly be a reality if companies in Asia have their way. Apparently, the desire to turn the moon into a cargo port is so strong that some scientists and space tech experts believe a space elevator would be a good investment. And it would be an investment to build a huge elevator some 238,900 miles tall. 2 graduate students were so enamored by the idea that they came up with a theoretical concept that could, apparently, be built with the modern technology we currently have.
We didn't make it in the time required, but
nobody is entirely sure of what kind of cargo would need to be transferred from Earth to the moon, but I guess that's the job of the big brains over at NASA, right? Companies in China and Japan have already begun testing prototypes in the hopes that they can build a full-scale version by 2050. So Gerard better get himself ready. Unsurprisingly, making a 238,000-mile elevator is not necessarily as simple as it sounds. The sheer amount of details that have to be worked out means it will take some time if we ever get to see Gerard Butler fighting aliens in a space elevator.